One crazy thing that I guess happened. Luckily, I didn't see him before the fight doing this. It probably would have freaked me out. But 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, anyways, dude, we'll start it off. How's quarantine going for a UFC fighter?
It's going. It's going. A lot of Call of Duty Warzone, and just doing workouts in my parking lot. I just did sprints this morning, and then just trying to figure out, what to do. I guess how to stay in shape. We had a little web conference with Dana the other day, and that was the main thing that he was telling us. Like, he's like, guys, try to stay in shape. He's like, basically after May 9th, there's going to be a fight pretty much every weekend after that. Yeah. So the UFC is going to be going, as business as usual. So, we got to be in good shape. And I know a lot of fighters have thought about going up a weight class, just because it's hard to cut weight and it's hard to get training in at the moment. But, Dana's kind of like, he doesn't really want people to go up a weight class. If you don't have to, because he's like, it doesn't do anything for the rankings. He's like, it basically it's almost like that fight never happened, so he prefer you to stay at your weight class. So 45 for me is tough enough. We'll see how it goes, during the quarantine, depending on how locked up we all are in a month or so.
Yeah, because you're a 6 foot tall guy that weighs in at 145 Friday night.
Yeah. It's not easy.
Have you ever thought about just going up to 155? Like,
yeah, I've thought about it. I was definitely thinking about it after this. But what's funny is, like, I think as I get closer to my fight, I'm cutting weight is when I really think about it. I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna make 45. I'm like, it just seems like such a far away number while I'm in it. And then I make 45 and I make weight. And then I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. Because when I look at my opponents, they're pretty big. Like, my last, kid that I just fought that I lost to, he was pretty thick. Even though he was 5'8" or 5'9".
Yeah.
He was pretty, he was jacked. And I couldn't imagine, being at 55 and maybe he's an inch or two taller, but just as jacked as he is, like a Paul Felder or something. So that's why I really like to stay at 45. Like 45, I think, is my weight class, until it's like impossible for me to make it, or if I miss weight, which I've never missed weight making 45. I'm gonna try and stay here as long as I can.
Yeah, well, it was wild to watch. I mean, obviously, I'm not a UFC fighter, so I've never known what y'all go through and what y'all do the night before. But watching your documentary on YouTube, that's crazy, man. You don't it does not look fun. It does not look like any type of fun.
Yeah, no, it's not. And it was kind of weird because, like, I didn't know if, I had my camera guy there, and I didn't know if I wanted to add that to my, little YouTube series, because I didn't know if I wanted people seeing me, how drained out I am, making weight, especially my mom and my family and them.
Right.
But, I think it gave them some insight and, a look into, like, what I'm actually doing to make weight, on top of all the hard training that I do, and I've never really been affected by a weight cut in a fight. Because it's funny, because, like, as drained out as I look and as skinny and like you start to see my hips protrude and my cheeks, get gaunt, I still perform well, and I rehydrate correctly, and that's probably I cut pretty, like, safely, compared to, like, other fighters. Like, I've seen other fighters cutting, and it's pretty rough. I sat in a tub I did 3 sessions, 25-minute sessions the morning of, and then I was on weight. Now, I was also sitting in the tub every day on fight week, at nighttime, but just once. And I was also drinking water the entire time. So it's just kind of, it's just part of the business. It's just, you got to deal with it.
Yeah, it's a crazy part of the business. Like, to see a 6 foot guy. I mean, I'm your average 5'7" and a half guy. I don't know. I've weighed 145 since like college. What are you laughing at, Taylor? What are you laughing at?
Hey, I'm just here, man.
yeah. I got to throw that 5'7.5" in there, Aalon, because like that, I feel like that's what really separates me from short or just real short to short. Like I'm a short guy, but I'm not real short because I got that half inch. You know,
That's right.
yeah,
Every half counts.
That's
I have a question. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen or done to cut weight? Like I used to have a buddy that wrestled in high school, and he was like, "Oh man, like I had to go and like barf before the whatever weigh in and whatever the case, or they just spit for like whatever. I don't know what all works and what all doesn't." He's told me that, and that was like, not that I was gonna wrestle anyways. I was fat, so I was like, "There ain't no way you're getting me in one of those suits, dude." But like after he told me that, and he was like, "Yeah, we run up all these bleachers." I was like, "Yeah, I'm out."
But, yeah, it's true. It's true. He's not lying. So I wrestled in high school as well, and back then we didn't really know how to cut weight. Our cutting weight was eating like very small portions of food if you knew you were going to have a match that week, and then you wouldn't drink water like the night before and all day, obviously leading up, and we would have a Gatorade bottle, and we would suck on Jolly Ranchers and spit into the Gatorade bottle, and basically our idea was that if we filled up that Gatorade bottle by the end of the day, that was like a pound or so. And then whatever else you had to cut, if you were overweight, coach would tell you better start running. So we would put trash bags, cut holes in the trash bags. And if you had a sauna suit, sauna suit on top of that, and we would just run. We'd run around the track in the heat. You know how, or in Florida, in Tampa, it gets mad hot and it's humid outside. We just run on the track until you made weight. That's basically what you did. Like that was the way to cut weight. We didn't use saunas. Well, what you would also do is you would sit in your car and turn the heat on. Like I said, mind you, it's hot outside already, and then you're sitting in a hot car with the heat on. So those are pretty drastic, especially for being like 16 years old and not knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Other than that, as far as like drastic things that I've seen or done recently, or I should say as a pro and an amateur, one of my teammates, Paul Barrow, he was in Bellator. He one time he's cut a lot of weight. I don't know how he used to make weight, but he would take the assault bike and move it into the sauna, and he would do the assault bike in the sauna with sweats on and everything to cut weight. And I thought that was intense. I mean, I've sat in the sauna before to cut weight, but I couldn't imagine having an actual bike in there and having to do work, like a workout inside the sauna room. Dude, I don't know how he did it. He did it though. He always made weight. So that was probably one of the craziest things I ever saw. I was just like, nope. I was like, I'm never doing that.
I tried to stretch in a sauna once, almost passed out. I couldn't imagine.
It's not hard, man. You got to drink a lot of water. Which obviously, if you're cutting weight, you can't drink water. So,
sheesh.
The Jolly Rancher thing just sounds like straight science. I mean, that's science.
That's bro science. It's bro science.
Yeah, that's what that is. It sounds like you found that on a Reddit forum.
Yeah, like, right.
How to cut weight.
So like whenever you're not cutting weight and whenever you're about to put it back on, what's your go-to meal? Like whenever you're like, oh, I can actually eat.
Like you mean like right after the fight or right after the weigh-ins? Like like first like real meal to have. Yep. I usually do pasta. I always do gluten-free pasta with grilled chicken and marinara sauce. That's like my go-to when my body can actually take in an actual meal. Yeah. That's my first meal, and usually we usually do Olive Garden or Carrabba's, whatever's available, and usually I can't even fit the whole portion in. It's usually about half, and I take the other half with me to the hotel room, and then I'll usually finish that out later that night.
Gotcha. Cool.
So what are you actually weighing when you go to fight?
So they weighed us in at the venue about, I don't know, I was the second fight of the night. It was maybe like 40 minutes or an hour before we fought. I was 171.
Sheesh.
Golly.
Yeah.
That is crazy. That's absolutely wild. And then the Spike guy, that creepy looking dude. I mean, can we just talk about? Can we have a little roast session over the guy for a minute? Like,
I'm not gonna get too crazy because we are friends on Instagram now.
Yeah.
So, he is he's a nice guy. He talked to me after the fight. He's very religious, so he prayed for me and everything. So, it was interesting. But one crazy thing that I guess happened. Luckily, I didn't see him before the fight doing this. It probably would have freaked me out. But I guess I want to say it was the morning, either the morning of the fight or the morning of the weigh-ins, one of those. He went out. So mind you, it was freezing in Virginia Beach during that weekend. He went outside butt naked on the beach and was sunning. He was out there, taking in the sun, I guess to get energy from the sun or whatever. And like the UFC staff, like the security had to go get him and pull him back inside because like they're telling like, bro, you can't do that. So luckily, like I said, I didn't hear that until after the fight because if I'd heard that before, I probably would have been like, "Am I fighting a crazy person?" Like,
just your normal Southern Baptist.
I'm actually gonna sit this one out. This dude's like running around naked.
No, guys, I fear for my life. I understand we're fighting, but I don't know if you've heard about this guy.
Yeah.
Bro, yeah, that's crazy. Because have you went back and watched like the TV footage of your fight?
I have. I've seen it a ton of times. It's just it was weird, man. That whole week was weird, and I don't make excuses for fights. I was in great shape. I just had a few things, that didn't. I just couldn't get into the mental state. It was really weird. I was there, and like normally when I'm in the cage and I'm standing across from my opponent, I'm usually thinking like the meanest thoughts possible. I mean, like some really like messed up stuff that like, I just can't even say it out loud. And, that's where I'm in the zone. Like I'm mad, like I'm not mad, but I'm really mean. I'm trying to be really mean in that moment to like, to allow myself to be able to hurt somebody. Whereas normally when I'm not in the cage, I don't like to hurt people. So, but when I was in the cage, my mind was just blank. It wasn't like my mind was anywhere else. It was just like, I got out of bed from a good nap, and I walked into the cage, and there we were to fight. I didn't even hear Bruce Buffer say my name or anything like that. I didn't get to take in anything really. It was really weird. And, and then he caught me with that kick, which I've seen tons of footage on him. And I've only seen him throw a head kick maybe in one of his fights, like as an amateur. And it's not that I'm not ready for a head kick, but he surprised me with it. He came forward, with a few punches and threw that kick kind of at the end of his combo. And I actually had my hand up, but obviously with 4-ounce gloves, you got to have your hand a little higher. So I had it like right here, and it kind of just clipped me right there. And it wasn't like rocked, but it definitely like jolted me. Like I was like, oh. And then he came at me that one more time. I stepped out to the side. I hit him with that straight right, clean. And then my body or my mind at the time was like takedown, which I don't know why, because I don't shoot on people really. Even my wrestling coach in the back was like, Aalon, he was like, no, let's not shoot double legs or anything. I was like, yeah, for sure. Like I'm not shooting on him. And then that's what I ended up doing. And then, he landed that clean elbow. That first elbow was super clean. Like I'm gonna give him that first elbow.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Like my head is like on his shoulder, and he somehow. I mean, he's got short arms. He fit his whole elbow into this space and hit me, and it was like, and I was like, oh. And then obviously the elbow to the back of the head. I was like,
yeah.
And then a couple hammer fists, and then that was a wrap. It was just a really weird. It was a weird fight. It was a weird week. But, I'm just ready for the next one, and it won't be the same. I really feel bad for my next opponent because, people think they've seen me fight, and that really wasn't me. So when they see the real me, they're going to be in for a surprise.
No, I mean, I 100% agree because looking at him before the fight, looking at you before the fight, sometimes you can tell. Our boy Matt Parker gambles on every one of these UFC fights. Mm-hmm. And sometimes he has no idea who to bet on. He literally watches people run out. And he can tell majority of the time, like, all right, this dude's scared for his life. or this guy's over the top. You know, he's too hype about it.
Yeah.
But it didn't look like you in the Contender Series, and it didn't look like you in that conflict fight that's on YouTube against the Solo or Solon, because you whooped the crap out of that dude. And that, I mean, it looked like a totally different Aalon. And they pronounced your name Aalon in that whole commentary. I don't know. Yes, Aalon. And it drove me insane. But anyways, it is a totally different. I mean, your mindset on stuff, like you think about the greats in all the sports, like Michael Jordan, Kobe, Brady, Conor McGregor, like they all had this killer instinct, but they're also all insane at whenever it's their time to shine. They're like, I'm the best and nobody's going to tell me otherwise. And like, that's what you have to do. Like, you're willing to do whatever to anybody else, you know, to be great.
No, you're 100% right. You know, because normally, like I said, I'm saying some mean stuff, and it's like to the point to where you're almost you're super arrogant in your head. You're like, you're not even gonna touch me. Like, you shouldn't even be in this cage with me. Like, those are the things you're thinking at that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, like I don't know. It was just a weird. Like you said, like even my girlfriend said, like when I saw her after the fight, she was like, when I saw you walk out and you were walking all slow and you know whatever, she's like, I knew like that wasn't you. She's like, I knew like there was something wrong or you weren't there. And people ask me like, you know, were you nervous? Was it UFC jitters? And I don't get nervous. That's the thing, is like I'm rarely nervous for fights. Even in the UFC, like my debut, I was not nervous. In the back, it was just like another day at the park. Which can be bad for me. You know, I always tell coach, like, when I get butterflies, which has been a while since I've gotten butterflies, but when I do, that's probably like my best. That's when I perform my best. Like my body's getting ready, you know, for fight or flight, you know, is when I have the butterflies. So sometimes I have to like hype myself up, like fake my body out.
Yeah.
So I'll have like a music playlist and, you know, I'll start talking to myself and like really have to like hype myself up. And I just couldn't. Either I didn't focus enough on hyping myself up for that, or I just couldn't get into that zone. You know, it just didn't. I don't know. It just didn't work out. So, but you know, it is what it is.
I know Taylor's got you talked about your playlist.
Yeah.
Taylor's got a question.
I was like, well, because I was listening to the last interview, and you know, like obviously none of us are professional, or me and Tyler, we're not professionals at anything, but like. But like I'll lift weights, right? And so if I'm going for a max effort, like deadlift or squat, like you go through the same range of motions, right? So you set up the same, you know, and you always have like a couple of songs that are your go-to, you know. So I imagine like before a fight, you would have some type of like regimen or some type of routine that you would go through. So like I kind of wanted to see maybe what your routine was or your regimen was, and then like what's like, you know, maybe 2 or 3 of your songs that you would go to like get your headspace right.
Yeah. So, you know, what's funny is that's probably one of the things that I did forget in the back, and probably because like, so the thing is, I also had USADA test me before my fight. So as soon they told us when we were heading to the venue that USADA is going to pick 4 random fighters. You're going to get tested in the back. And I had just been tested literally 2 weeks before over here at my house in Tampa. And of course I was like, I already knew. I told coaches like, it's going to be me. They're going to test because they tested me 7 times before I fought. And so I got off the bus and they're like, you've been selected, you know, for USADA. I'm like, okay. So we go to the back. I piss or whatever. And they're testing the gravity sample or whatever. And it's too diluted because I've been drinking a ton of water. So then I have to wait another 45 minutes to an hour with the USADA guy watching me the whole time before I have to let him know I need to pee again because they have to redo the test. So then literally before my fight, you know, 30 to 40 minutes before my fight, I'm like thinking about this USADA. I have to do this again, you know, and then I did it again. And then, you know, finally I was like, okay, we're good. And then normally I have, you know, so I have my Bluetooth speaker in the back and I've got it playing my workout playlist that, you know, I usually have playing at the gym. So it's just like everything's normal. And then usually I put my headphones on and I start getting hyped up. I usually put on like Pusha T or ASAP Ferg. Like, you know, they get me those their beats and just the things that they're saying, they get me like really like in like can get me like a deep dark mode or something. And usually that's what I do. But it was kind of like so fast that like, you know, I'm in the back and they're like, all right, you're going to be up next. And I'm still trying to get in some last minute warm up, you know, because we're up so early and we didn't have time. And I didn't put my headphones on and just like mentally just try to get into that zone. And usually I don't even take my headphones off until I get the okay from my coach that they're playing my walkout song, because I've had that happen before where they mess it up and I'm just like, and coach will tell me like, keep them on. So then I keep them on, I walk out. But I didn't do that. I just walked out. I was sitting in the back, you know, waiting behind the curtain. And then, you know, my walkout song came on. And I kind of chose that song last minute too. It was All Right by Kendrick Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I like that song. And when I'm training, it hypes me up. But in retrospect, you know, there are certain songs that like stick with you during a camp or leading up to a fight, like 3 or 4 songs that you were just listening to a lot, or that was the song for that camp. And, you know, that wasn't really one of them. I had a few other ones, but I don't know. Last minute, I just thought in my mind, I was like, let me just, you know, pick a song that's going to hype me up, but at the same time, the crowd is going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Which normally I don't really care about what the crowd's enjoying, as long as the song makes me feel good and the message that the song is portraying gets me in the zone, which, you know, I should have stuck with that. But, you know, not that a song and walkout, you know, has anything to do with whether you win or not. But, you know, it is a factor in your mindset walking out for the fight. So, you know, I do normally have that regiment. I just kind of, you know, I guess shied away from it. You know, I was trying a lot of new different things too. Like I was working with Trifecta for the weight cut this coming time. So like normally I do the Dolce diet 3 weeks to shredded, which I did do the entire time until I got to Virginia, and then Trifecta they offered to help you cut. So they give you meals, and they give you snacks, and they tell you when to eat them, how much to eat, and then what to drink with it and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I was like, if, you know, and it was hard to get transportation and find like a, you know, good Whole Foods or Sprouts out there. So I was like, let me just try it their way, which I made the weight. It was just, you know, I did a lot of different stuff. I don't know. It was just
maybe you should be like Adesanya and do like a whole dance routine.
Yeah.
Get everybody fired up.
I would never. I don't think I could, man. It'd be the heat, the blowback from that. If you don't win.
Yeah, it's over.
It's over. But if you win, you come off as a boss, right?
Yeah, you're like, him. You're him. Yeah, he has nothing to lose. He's like, I'm not going to lose. Like I can do the whole 2D slide or whatever down this bed. Nobody's gonna say anything to me.
Just moonwalk all the way to the octagon.
Yeah. It's just like adding more pressure to you. Like, you know, it's like people that talk trash. Like, I never talk trash just because I don't feel like wasting energy on it. But also, that it's just putting more pressure on you. I mean, you know, I guess if you don't care, like you just say stuff and you don't care how it's perceived, then, you know, do your thing and talk trash. But for me, you know, I'm very like in my head about a lot of things. You know, like I'm just still learning how to deal with like, you know, negative Instagram comments and stuff like that. You know, like if you win, you get negative comments. If you lose, bro, just like, it's like you lost me my bet. You lost me $1,000. You're gonna pay me back. You know, you suck. You know, Spike Carl. How do you lose to a guy named Spike? You know, bro, I get so much hate. And then when the UFC reposted my knee the other day, last week, I got a lot more followers, a lot of more new fans, but then also I got more negative people. You know, how do you hit a man after he's unconscious? Blah, blah, blah. You should know. How do you, blah, blah, blah. Someone commented on my picture with my dog that has nothing to do with fighting. And he was like, oh, how do you hit a man after he's unconscious? You know, you're ugly. And something about my dog, something.
Leave the dogs out of this, man.
So I just blocked him and I deleted the comment only because I wouldn't have done it if he had put it on one of my fight photos.
Yeah.
To be honest, for me, if it's a fight photo, I don't filter my comments. So if you want to talk trash on there, be my guest. But if you put it on something that has nothing to do with fighting, and that was also like a promotion, like for something, then I'm gonna just delete it because it's not. I'm not trying to have that kind of thing on my.
That's kind of the nature. That's the nature of the beast. I mean, you're a UFC fighter. You're on national television, and that's going to happen. There are a bunch of idiots. And during this quarantine, man, like I haven't, I'm a teacher. I haven't taught, and I don't even know when the last time I worked or I'd used my brain. So I just been getting on Twitter, and I've been getting in these weird Twitter beefs. It's not good. It's not good, man. I need to lay off. There's a lot of dumb people out there.
You're a lot better than I am, dude. Being a UFC fighter, and then somebody's talking trash, and be like, "Here's my address, dude. Meet me up."
Be like Anthony
you can do
Smith
better. Yeah.
You know what's funny is I haven't done it in a while, but I've converted a few people that were haters into my fans because it's weird because people just want to blurt things out and hope they get your attention, or they think that you're not going to see their comment.
Yep.
And so like, they'll say something negative, and then I'll be like, why does it make you mad? Or next time, like about the bet thing, like next time just don't bet on me and you don't have to worry about that or something like that.
Yep.
And then they'll say something like, oh, I wasn't trying to be like rude or anything, even though you just told me to fucking die. I wasn't trying to be rude or anything, but I hope you win your next fight. I'm a fan of yours now, and I'm like, okay, man, that's cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like they just want to say things because they're not their actual person on their Instagram or Twitter. It's always like a picture of not them, and then it's like some random ass name. Like when you see my Instagram, it's a picture of me, it's my name, and you know who I am. So it's you're visible.
Sorry, man. Before I commented on your picture, I was listening to too much ASAP.
Yeah. Right. You need to get you a burner Twitter account.
Oh yeah, so I can just go in there and contact with people.
Yes, yeah. Kevin Durant did it. If Kevin Durant can do it, you can do it, man.
For sure.
Get a burner account, just like eat dirt, you little girl, and like, and then nobody ever knows.
Well, luckily I do have a good amount of fans that like they'll defend me on there. Yeah. So like someone will say something negative, and then someone will be like, "Go back to your hole where you came from," or something like that. So. Luckily I have some good fans on my side, obviously, as well as some haters. But it is what it is.
We got you. From now on, every tweet, I'm just gonna like tweet under there like, "This is Aalon's Twitter police." Anything or anything you say will count against you in the court of Thoughts from Cheap Seats. Twitter police.
Yeah, we'll just start roasting some of the dumbest comments left.
We got you. Well, Aalon, dude, I know you got to go train. I've got to go grocery shopping. So
that's
that. Same thing.
Wild. Yeah. Hey, but I appreciate your time, dude. Sorry it took so long for me to figure out Skype.
No, you're good, man.
Man.
Well, y'all be safe out there, man. Don't get sick.
Yeah, you too, man.